So the focus for today, I mentioned yesterday, is we're going to go back into that fascial release work. So the basic Pilates mat course that I'm teaching at the moment, we just started talking about fascia. We took a look at all of the lines. So now as we go through each of the movements, I'm just going to refresh everyone's memories about the different lines that we're actually working, releasing, engaging. So for some of you, this is going to just a refresher, a recap. And for some of you that haven't actually looked at the fascial lines before, it could be something just a little bit new for you to bring into your Pilates as well. All right, so guys, you can have your mat set up as usual. We're going to have the ball. I'm going to just mute background conversations. And so I want you standing at the back end of your mats. And I'm just going to move a little bit this way so you can see me easily there. And you're going to place the ball just in front of your feet. I'm going to move a little bit back so I'm in the screen for you. You can stay on your mats. Just line up your feet with each other. Just let your arms relax beside you, lifting your chin. Take a moment as you stand here to really feel the connections of your feet into the ground and get the feeling of opposition. So as you root your feet, allow your head to float up towards the clouds above you. And we're going to do a little bit of a rocking action forwards and backwards. And this rocking action forwards and backwards will start to switch on the superficial front line of the body and the superficial back line of the body. So just notice when you come forward that the back of your body engages, and as you come backwards, the front of your body engages. And then center yourself over the arches of your feet. Take a breath in. On your exhale, look down, and we roll halfway forward. So we stop with our hands just in front of our knees. And if you pause here for a moment, you might notice that there's a stretch somewhere along your back or your neck. Notice where you're feeling it, if anywhere. And then on your next breath, start to come forward. So you're leaning over from the crease of your hip now. And as you come forward, notice how the stretch moves into the back of the leg. Unless you're super flexible, you might not feel it there. Take a breath in. Exhale, come all the way back up. So you're pressing into your feet, coming all the way up and lifting nice and tall. Now take your right hand and you're going to bring your thumb out in front of you. Start to take your thumb back and spiral all the way around as far as you can. Just keep your feet rooted. Make a little mental note of where your thumb is, and then come all the way back and release it down. Now do the same thing with your left hand. Thumb up, and you do an outward spiral. And just notice how far you can spiral to this left side. Come all the way back around to the front and release it down. So now, standing on one foot, it doesn't matter which side, and start to do that very, very light rolling action on the bottom of your foot. So this is getting into that very first layer of fascia, which is directly underneath the skin. So you do not need a lot of pressure here. So instinctively, if we bump something, like if we bump our elbow, our instinct is to rub like this. And one of the reasons is that you're actually almost stimulating the fascia directly underneath the skin. And now, floppy foot and start to do some heavier pressure on the ball. But keep your foot quite floppy. And that's going to allow us to get into those intrinsic muscles of the feet. And then keep that same firm pressure, stiffen up your foot and rolling around. Notice if there are any pressure points you want to pay attention to, because now we're getting into those deeper layers of fascia in the foot. And then release. And before we do the other side, just stand for a moment, close your eyes, and just notice the different sense and awareness on that side, on that foot that you've just been rolling. And then you can blink your eyes open. And now let's move over to the other side. So it's going to be a very, very light rolling action of your foot. Nice and light. So we're getting into that very first layer. And remember that you want to get all over the foot, from the heels to the toes, to the inside edge, to the outside edge of your foot. And then if you're losing your balance, remember you can hold on to something. And now soft foot, and do a little bit of heavy pressure onto that ball. So with a floppy foot, remember that now you're getting more into the muscles of your foot. And now you're going to stiffen up your foot, still do that firm pressure on the ball, and see if you can get into those deeper layers of fascia. And again, notice where you're really kind of noticing those hot spots for yourself. Like I really feel it on the inside arch of my foot on the side. And then release. Take a moment to just stand, close your eyes again, and observe the sensations into the foot you've just been rolling. Perhaps notice if there's some kind of release up that side of your body as well. You can blink your eyes open, and we're going to repeat our roll down. So look down towards your feet, and just come down until your hands are in front of your knees, and stay there. Notice if anything has released along your back extensors now that you've rolled out the fascia of the feet. And then fold over and go even deeper. And observe if there's been any kind of shift here for you, because the plantar fascia connects all the way up the back line of the body. And then roll yourself up again, abdominals connecting, lifting up and tall. Take a moment to find your balance. And now again, let's test our spiral lines. So bring your right hand out in front of you, thumb up, and then outward spiral. And just notice, have you been able to go further in the spiral? Come all the way back to the front and release. And now taking left hand, coming into your outward spiral, and the reason that this may have been released is the spiral line actually also goes under the arch of the foot, which you just rolled out. And then come all the way back to the center and release. You guys can stay where you are. I'm just moving onto my mat like where you guys are at the moment. Leave the ball there, take a breath, and then nod your chin, and this time roll all the way down towards the ground. Walk your hands all the way down onto the floor. And then just coming into a 4-point kneeling position. Spread your fingers out, shoulders away from the ears. Find that lovely length of your spine. And then close your eyes again. And notice the point of contact of your body to the mat underneath you. Notice your wrists, your hands, your fingertips. Notice your knees, your feet, and any part of the ankle and the shin that may be connected to the ground. And then blink your eyes open as we go into a cat stretch. Round your spine up towards the sky, lifting through the abdominals, pushing away from your hands. Take a little breath. And then exhale as you lengthen your spine. And now lift your tail, lift your heart, and lift your eye line. That is extension. And again, rounding your spine. Really get that beautiful connection into the abdominals. Lengthen your spine. Lifting your tail, your chest, your gaze. One more time. Make sure that you're breathing, by the way. Rounding your spine up. And then lengthen. Go into a little bit of extension. And now return yourself to neutral. You're going to move that little massage ball under one of your shins. It doesn't matter which one. And start to roll your shin up and down the ball. And as much as you can, get onto the top of your foot. Go all the way up towards the knee. And then maybe get the pressure a little bit to the inside of the shin bone and a little bit to the outside of the shin bone. This muscle is called the tibialis anterior. And release. And now move it over to the other side. So I'm sure you guys have heard of shin splints before. So that is this muscle, the tibialis, that the fascia, the connective tissue, starts to tighten around it for some people. And it can be really quite painful, but we mostly see it with people that do a fair amount of running or a lot of walking, perhaps. So just notice how it's feeling on your body as you roll it out, if there's a difference between the two sides or not. And then release, and now you can move that little ball just off to the side, and we're going to repeat our cat stretch here. Breathe out as you round your spine up, lifting through the abdominals, and then move towards extension again, and lifting through your eye line. Taking 2 more rounds. Is there any different sensation for you now that we have released that shin muscle? Because that shin muscle connects to the front line of your body. So you might notice that there's a different connection to the abdominals even, perhaps. And taking last one. Rounding your spine all the way up. And then just return to neutral and hold it here for a moment. Now balance on your left hand, reach your right arm out to the side, and then coming into your thread the needle. So remember, you can put something under your head if you need to. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. You can move your left hand a little bit forward, just a little bit. And you're going to bend the right elbow. And if you're able to touch your ribs, that's great. But as long as you're just bending and then gently extending the elbow. And now what we're doing is bringing a little bit of movement and release into the back arm line. So that goes from the spine, between the shoulder blades. We've got some muscles there called the rhomboids. It also goes into our upper trapezius muscles, which are around the neck. And then it comes down along the back of the arm. It includes that rotator cuff, the triceps. And let's do last one and release. And then just move your left hand a little closer so you can come all the way up, reaching that right arm to the side, and then placing the right hand down. Take a moment to center yourself. Left arm reaches, and now do thread the needle through to the other side. So again, just settle your head, move your right hand just a little bit forward so it's out of the way for you, and bend and straighten that left elbow. Maybe you want to start quite small with the movements, and then keep breathing, and maybe the movement just naturally gets a little bit bigger. And this time, as you focus on the left back arm line, Observe on yourself if there's any difference between the two sides of your body. And we're going to do just one more time. Gentle bend and extend. And then just walk your right hand a little closer. All the way up you come. Stretch that arm out. And then bringing the hands down. Now walk your hands a little bit closer to each other so that your thumbs are pretty much touching. Balance yourself and stretch the right leg back. Lift the abdominals and lift your leg all the way up. Stay here for a moment. You're just finding that lovely long straight line of your body, abdominals connecting. Now step your right foot to the outside of your right hand and help yourself if you need to. Put a little cushion under your left knee if you need to, and then walk your hands all the way up. So you guys know that I love this particular sequence because it opens up that hip flexor beautifully. Start to move your body weight forwards and backwards. Keep the abdominals supported to protect your back so you can really get that release into the front of the hip. So it's quite interesting. This hip flexor muscle is called the and in a lot of different philosophies and modalities, but in particular yoga, they talk about the psoas kind of holding a lot of emotional baggage. So for a lot of us, it can get quite tight, not just posture related, but they talk about the emotional side. And there's a technique called TRE, which is trauma release exercise. Feel the opening, right hand stays and left hand comes down. Now we inhale to reach up and we exhale to release it down. And let's just do a few more. So as your arm comes up, you're actually adding a little bit of tensioning onto that whole line of fascia. So with TRE, what they basically do is they load that hip flexor until it's fatigued. And then you have this almost uncontrolled tremoring when you lie down, and it basically releases everything that's in the psoas and softens it and lets it go. Now just let your left hand come all the way up and stay there. Lean over towards the right. Hold it there. Can you feel that there's an additional little pull? Let's do 5 gentle pulses. One more. Release up, hold. And now bring your hand all the way down. Root your hand beside your foot and then help yourself into a little bit of a spiral. So you're looking up over the right shoulder. Now you can stay here or you can reach the right hand up. So it's equal and opposite energy through the right fingertips and the left hand. Feel that opening along your heart space. And then on your next breath, come down and you're going to put your hands to the outside of your foot. Come up onto the tips of your fingers and then start moving your pelvis back and forward. And again, back and forward. So now the focus is on getting that lengthening and that release along the back of the right leg. So those are the hamstrings. Stay with your breath. And let's do one more time when you push your pelvis back and you're going to stay here. Now, you actually want to keep this front knee a little bit bent. So even if you're really flexible, bend the knee a little bit. Lift your toes up towards the sky and then lengthen your spine. So you're not trying to round over, you're trying to lengthen as much as possible. Start to turn your toes in and out like windscreen wipers. See if you can keep your shoulders and your pelvis stable so that that rotation is just coming from the top of the hip, the top of the femur. And this is our hamstrings glide. And just on a personal experience, this has been more effective for stretching and releasing my hamstrings than the traditional work. It's made a huge difference to my hamstring flexibility. And then just bring your toes back to the center. Place your toes down. Come a little bit forward. And now again, put both your hands, thumbs together, so your hands are on the inside of your right foot. Push back a little bit so you can stretch that right leg all the way back again. Stay here for a moment, finding that length and energy from toes to the crown, and then bring that knee all the way in. Make any adjustments you need. If you need to move the pad underneath your right knee, then you can do it now. Left leg reaches. Lift your leg up so your abdominal muscles are connected. So this is a really lovely way to, again, find symmetry and balance between the front and back lines of the body. And now step your foot all the way through and place it to the outside of your left hand. Bring yourself all the way up. Find balance, so you don't have to rush through these movements. And then shifting forwards and backwards. Using your breath. Maintaining that height of your spine. The support for your lower back. Taking just a few more. And now come a little bit forward so we get that opening of the right iliopsoas. Keep your left hand here. Right hand comes down. Breathing in. And breathing out. And again, breathing in. Such a lovely way to help release into that psoas. That's it. Taking two more. One more time. Reach up and hold it here. Let's do a little bit of a side stretch. Notice how it intensifies the pull. Well, it does on me. And then gentle pulses. 3 more. Come up, reach down, place your hand in line with your foot. Help yourself as you come into a little bit of a spiral. And then if you want to, reach the left hand up. And just allow your hands to reach from the center of your chest space. Keep breathing. And then release. Placing your fingertips on either side of the heel of your foot. You can move your foot if you need, by the way. And then we move towards that hamstring release. A little backwards and forwards. Long spine. And let's do one more time. Sit back and hold it here. So remember, soften the front knee, lift your toes up, long spine, and then you do your little windscreen wiper movement. Gliding those 3 different muscles that make up the hamstrings over each other. You can start small and then allow the movement to naturally get bigger. Bring your foot to the center, place your toes down. Now, move your hands to the inside again, thumbs touching, and press into your hands so you can stretch that leg all the way back. Long extension. Pause here for a moment, and then bringing that knee all the way in. So separate your hands slightly, rolling your shoulders away from the ears. We're going to go into a downward facing dog. So I want you to tuck your toes under, Press into your hands and feet. Lift your knees up first. Move your hips back and just really keep the knees super duper bent for now. Focus instead on stretching the elbows and lengthening and index finger to the ground as you roll your shoulders back. Relax your neck. And now let's do that pedaling of one heel to the floor and then alternate to the other side. So this again is working on the superficial back line of the body. So because we're lengthening the spine, it means it's going to create an extra pull on the back of the legs, which is why some of us aren't able to straighten our legs in down dog. If we try to straighten our legs, then we round our back because it's like a little bit of tug of war. And so now we're going to try sending both heels to the floor, and I just want you to feel if you're able to straighten your legs or not. If you have to keep your knees bent, then do it. That's absolutely fine. Take one more breath in, and then exhale, bringing the knees all the way down and releasing your feet back. So I want you to round your spine into a cat position. Sit your hips halfway back. Stay there and notice how there's an increased pull maybe around the lower back. Press up onto the tips of your fingers so that you're removing the load of your wrists. And now gentle pulses. And once again, pay attention to where you might be feeling this on your body. Taking two more. One more. Release. Place both hands flat. Come forward and then lengthen your spine out once again. So find your balance. Take your right leg, reach it back. Lift your leg up, and this time flex the ankle. Energy pushing out through the heel of the foot. Start sweeping your leg around towards the right and place your foot down so that your toes are in line, more or less in line with your knee. Roll the baby toe on the outside edge of the foot down as well. Lengthen your spine and then start doing that gentle hinging backwards and forwards. So now what you might feel is that there's a release into that right inner thigh muscle. That's called your right adductor. And the inner thighs are part of the deep midline of fascia, or the deep front line of fascia. So in Pilates, this is our core. This leads up into the pelvic floor, all around those deep muscles, up into the diaphragm, and then up into the deep neck as well. One more time, and then come a little bit forward. See if you can lift your leg up and hold it there. So now you're finding a connection into those bum muscles. Sweep your leg all the way around to the back and bring your knee all the way in. Let's do the same thing with the left leg. Stretch the left leg back. Lift your leg up and stay here. Flex your foot, pause for a moment to find your connections, and then circle that leg all the way around and roll the outside edge of your foot down towards the floor. Guys, if your knees or ankles or hips don't like this, adjust the position so it works for you. Long spine, and here we go. A little bit of a shift and release, and shift, and release. How does this side feel in comparison to the first side? Taking a few more. Come forward and hold. Now, pick up your leg, hold it. Can you activate those gluteal muscles? Sweep your leg all the way around to the back and bringing your knee in. Open your knees wide, big toes together. Sit yourself back and then bend your elbows so your thumb and index finger are touching, and then rest your forehead down towards the ground. And just settle into this shape. And you want to feel completely at ease. And we take 5 full conscious breaths in and out. And this is just an opportunity for you to absorb and to integrate all the movements and all the breathing that you have done so far. Feel the oxygen and the energy moving through your body as you inhale. Be aware of that detox of your body as you exhale. Just one more time. Start to walk your hands backwards towards your knees. Now, I'm going to stay in a kneeling position like this because it's pretty comfortable for me. But if it's not comfortable for you, then feel free to come upright like this. I'm going to turn so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So you're going to take your hands and you're going to turn the palms of your hands out and just rest your wrists. So it looks like that, just above the shelf of your hip. So these are called seagull arms. And this might be quite intense already here. But if you're not even registering it, if you're not feeling it, then maybe you want to walk your hands higher up towards your armpits so that your hands are on the sides of your ribs and you're just allowing your arms to suspend. You're not working to hold them right now. So if you keep your hands there, I'm just going to move my hands so you can see what I'm doing, that there's actually a stretch on the back of the wrist here, and there's internal rotation. So these seagull arms are going to be working along the arm lines again, and in particular along the back arm line of the fascia. And this is a position that we do in yin yoga as well, where this actually works on the meridians that run through the arms and the hands. So just taking one more breath in and out. And then slowly release your hands all the way down. And then maybe just wiggle the fingers, wiggle the wrists and the hands, bring the circulation back into them. And now I'm going to stay facing you, and we're going to go into our mermaid seat. You guys know I love this one as well. So make any adjustments that you need. I want your right shin to the front here, left leg bent out towards the side. See, somebody's just joining in. And we're going to go into our mermaid and our seaweed arms. So we're going to go up and over to the side, and again, up and over to the side. So this is the first bit of lateral flexion that we're doing. And this is a wonderful way to open up the side of the body. So those lateral lines of the body. But of course, right now, we're just focusing on the top half of that lateral line, so from the pelvis up. And we also have from the pelvis down, the IT band, and then down to the ankle. And let's just take 2 more. Make sure that you're breathing. And keep your right hand to the floor as you do one more stretch over. And now twist your shoulders, turn your ribs, and put both hands on the floor. Just separate your hands slightly. Take a moment to square your shoulders as best you can and let your pelvis, your legs, your head move as they need to. In your own time, start lifting your eye line, lifting your chest, and there's a little bit of extension of the spine. And then round your spine so you curl back and you allow your head to tuck in. And again, we extend. And I like to inhale here. You might prefer to reverse it. And then when you round your spine, you might feel your pelvis roll back. I like to exhale there. Connecting into your breath. And if it feels good for you, you can close your eyes so that you can really focus on the sensations of your body moving, the different shapes that you're making, and then noticing the areas of ease and the areas where you might have a little bit of resistance. And we never force. We're just allowing ourselves to explore the range. Taking one more. Come back to the center and pause. Now move your right hand a little closer to the left hand. Pick up your left hand and take another peek underneath. And then come all the way up. Now from here, spin your feet all the way around over to the other side to come into your mermaid seat. Make the adjustments that you need, and let's do seaweed arms, lateral flexion of the spine on this side. So again, this movement is coming into the top section of our lateral lines, but it might feel different on this side because of our leg position having switched over. So the way that you are sitting from the pelvis down might be different on this side due to tightnesses, maybe around the hips, possible injuries around knees or ankles. So again, we don't have to change anything, just notice. And placing your left hand down, do one more stretch over, and now add your little twist. Place both hands to the floor, separate them slightly, square your shoulders as much as you can, and make any adjustments to your pelvis position and your legs. Start arching the spine, breathing in. And on your exhale, curl back. Let your head roll through. And again, inhale. And exhale. And you can have your eyes open or closed. See if you can add a little bit of resistance with your hands. So when you roll back, I do a little push with my hands. And then when I come up and lift my chest, I almost pull with my hands gently. Taking two more. One more. Come back to the center and pause. Moving your left hand closer to the right hand. Pick up your right hand, take a little bit of a peek underneath, and then exhale to come all the way up. Good. Just bring your feet around, and I'm going to turn so I'm sitting lengthways again. Make sure that you've got the little ball close by on hand, knees bent, arms extended, and we're going to control the movement as we roll ourselves all the way back and letting your arms settle. So bring your feet a little bit closer in towards you. And have your knees and feet slightly separated. Let your arms relax. And just take a moment again to close your eyes. Notice again the points of contact of your body to your mat. Notice how you are feeling in this very moment. And then blink your eyes open gently. We're going to go up into a pelvic curl. On your breath, tilt your pelvis and roll up into a bridge position. Pause at the top. Feel the support from the underside of your body, and then roll yourself back down and release at the bottom. Take another breath in. Exhale, tilting pelvis, rolling up. A little bit of a squeeze with the gluteals. Stay for a moment, relaxing into your neck. Roll down through your spine. Imprint and release. Now, bring your knees and feet right next to each other. Take your hands a little bit wider than your mat. Pick up your right thigh to cross it over the left thigh. Roll your knees to the left. Turn your head and look towards the right. Keep your right shoulder down. And we're going to stay here in this twist for 3 breaths in and out. Maybe your foot is touching the floor, maybe not, don't force it. And I just want you to observe, where are you feeling the stretch when you do this? How easy does it feel for you? Like, are you quite deep into the rotation, or do you feel that something is holding you back? And then draw yourself all the way back to the center using abdominals, and then stay here. Bring your knees up towards you. So you still have your right leg on top. Put your hands on each knee and then slide one hand down each shin. So you're more or less grabbing towards the ankles or the feet. And you should be now getting a little bit of a release into that right piriformis, into that deep right hip. And again, we're going to stay here for a moment. And then on your next breath, unwind, hug both knees in towards you, tuck yourself into a little ball shape just for a moment, getting that stretch across the kidneys, the lower back, and releasing all the way down. Put your right foot to the ground, cross your left thigh over, and again, take your hands a little bit wide. Roll your legs to the right this time. Turn to look towards the left. You've got to keep that left shoulder down and just figure out how far you can go into this twist, and we stay for 3 breaths in and out. So it's quite a strong rotation of the spine, coming all the way from the lumbar spine up into the thoracic spine. And because you've turned your head to the side, you're involving the neck, the cervical spine as well. Take one more breath in. And then exhale, obliques connect as you draw all the way back to the center and hold. Bring your knees up towards you. Take your hands, one on either side. Slide your hands down towards your ankles. And we pause here for a moment. And this time, feeling that stretch into the deep left hip, the piriformis. And on your next breath, release, uncross, hug them in, tuck your chin, round up through your spine, and releasing all the way back. Now place your feet onto the ground again with your knees bent. You're going to take your little massage ball and place it underneath your sacrum and just settle onto it there. So you'll feel when you're balanced, when you're centered. Move your hands just a little out to the side and then just do a little bit of a rolling action from side to side. So a reminder that we have a lot of fascia that connects over the sacrum and up into the lumbar spine, lots of different muscles connecting, but also it's like a little hub for a lot of the fascial lines to move through. So it's almost like a train station. So we have all these lines coming in, they meet here, and then they take off in various paths. So this is one of the areas that we can release it, and then we get benefits in a lot of other areas of our body as well. So bring yourself just back to the center. Now lift your pelvis up and just move the ball a little bit to the left side. So it's more or less just underneath the left bum. And then just roll a little bit to the side and center. So now we're focusing a little bit more onto the deep muscles of the gluteals, okay, underneath the gluteus maximus. Hopefully getting towards that piriformis to see if we can release it. So it's a little bit lower than the sacrum and a little bit off to one side. And then settle yourself, lift up, move the ball over to the other side, and then do that little bit of a rolling outwards and back towards the center of your bum cheek. We're just going to do a few more, and if you have a quite strong trigger point, you can always just stay there and breathe and just hold that position. You don't have to move. And then center yourself, lift up, take the ball out, and then just settle your pelvis down. Now, let your arms settle beside you, close your eyes, and just notice how it feels. Is there any kind of release for you with that rolling across the sacrum and then towards the piriformis, the gluteals? Blink your eyes open. We're going to repeat our pelvic curl. Tilt your pelvis, rolling up into a bridge position, giving yourself that little squeeze with the gluteal. Does your range here feel any different? Do the connections feel any different? And then roll down. And release. And again, tilting pelvis back, rolling up. A little squeeze into the gluteals. Take a breath in. And roll down. Settle at the bottom. Bring your knees and your feet together. Take your hands wide. Your right leg comes up and over. And let's repeat that rotation. Roll your knees to the left. Turn your head and look to the right. And stay here for 3 breaths in and out. Once again, observing on your own body if it helped you in any way with that rolling across the sacrum and the gluteals. Has your range increased? Has it eased up at all? And on your next breath, coming all the way back to the center, using abdominals. And then finally, keep your legs crossed, knees come up, slide your hands down, and coming once again into your piriformis stretch. And has this shifted at all for you? Take a little breath in. Release. Hug knees. Tuck your chin in. Curl forward. And then place yourself all the way back. Put your right foot down. Left thigh crosses over. And now rotate your legs to the right. Look over the left shoulder. Settle yourself into your twist and just take a few breaths here. And just for myself, I can feel that I've gone way further over once I've released across the lower back here. It's made a big difference on my own rotation. Take another breath in and out. And then exhale, draw yourself all the way back to the center. Bring your knees up, holding onto the ankles. Coming into the piriformis release on the left side now. And again, it's interesting. I felt a huge release on the right piriformis, but I'm not really feeling a big release on the left side for whatever reason. This one still feels tight. So again, just notice on your own body what's happening. And then release, hug, tuck your chin. Curling forward and coming all the way down. Now place your feet onto the ground, knees bent, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. And let's just do a few little scissor action of the arms. Finding that mobility through the shoulder, a little bit of a release through all the muscles around the shoulder and the chest. One more time, and bring both hands all the way up. Interlace your fingers, hands go underneath your head, getting ready for our chest lift. Get your lower back in a happy place and stabilize. Nod your chin. And on your breath out, you slide your ribs forward. And inhale, releasing back. Taking 3 more, engaging the upper abdominal attachments and release. Taking 2 more, so we're shortening, we're engaging the front line and release. One more time, curl forward and hold it here. We're going to flex the ankles and lower the toes. Flex the ankles. Do you notice how it increases the loading? And lower. 2 more times. This is all part of the superficial front line. And release 1 more time. And release. Lower head and shoulders. And then just slip your hands out. And you're going to place your hands just on your ribs here. Now the diaphragm is our breathing muscle and it sits just underneath the ribs. So we're not going to dig our fingers in yet. I want you to take the tips of your fingers, starting at the middle of your sternum, and start to just feel the edge of your ribs with your fingers. Trace your fingers all the way out until you just come to these outer edges of the ribs here, and then trace it back again. So you just really feel where your rib cage is. And it's amazing how big it is, right? And now what I'd like you to do is to see if you can dig your fingers just under your ribs and almost give a little bit of a pull and release. Move your fingers out a little bit more. See if you can dig them under. Give a little pull and release. And keep working your fingers out. Give a little bit of a pull. So you're actually stretching your diaphragm. And release. Don't hurt yourself. Some people are so tight around here that they can barely get their fingers under. So don't go injuring yourself. Just do the best you can and then start to work your fingers back again. Keep your abdominals nice and soft and release. Now, that little ball, I want you to put it between your knees so you have something to hold on to. Bring your hands up again, interlace your fingers and your hands go under your head. We're going to repeat our chest lift. Nod your chin. On your breath out, slide your ribs forward, holding the ball between your knees and releasing down. So I want you to notice if there's anything different for you. Now that you've released your diaphragm, do you have more range? Maybe, maybe not. I'm just pointing it out the possibilities. As you breathe out and curl forward, you're holding the ball, which is switching on the inner thigh, and release. And don't forget that the inner thigh, the pelvic floor, the diaphragm, the deep neck muscles are all part of our deep front line. They're our core. How is it feeling for you? And release. Let's do one more time. Curl forward, and I'd like you to stay here. Lift your toes and lower. Lift your toes. Keep breathing and lower. You're still holding the ball, right? Lift your toes and lower. Keep the elbows where you can see them, no pulling on your head. Lift your toes last time and release. Lower head and shoulders and relax. Good. You can take the ball out and you're just going to hug both knees in towards your chest. Do a little bit of a rocking action from side to side. And then hook your hands behind your knees. Tuck your chin in, and let's do a little bit of a rocking action. Start off by using your legs to help you. And then as soon as you can remove the kicking action with your feet, why don't you keep your feet nice and close and just see if your breathing can help you. Up you come, hold it. And placing your feet down. Good. Turn onto your stomach. And I'm going to demonstrate with my right arm. So I'm going to have my back to you for a moment. I want you to reach your right arm out to the side and turn your head and look away. Bend your left knee and then roll away so that you push with your hand and you're going to look for the floor with your left foot. Now, if your foot doesn't touch the floor, please don't force it. You can keep it in the air, or maybe you can even put like a little block or a cushion underneath your foot so that you have a little bit of extra support for yourself. Just stay here for a few more moments to breathe in and out. Opening up the front arm line. Come all the way back to the center. And now release and switch over to the other side. Turning your head away. Left arm is out. You bend the right knee. Roll up and back. So you're getting that opening along the front arm line, this time on the left side. Stay for just a few more breaths, relaxing into your neck as much as you can. And releasing all the way to the front. Stretch. Now again, I want you to take that little ball. You're going to put it just underneath you in the middle of your sternum. And just bend your elbows, rest your forehead to the ground. Make any adjustments that you need to. But just do a little bit of a rocking action from side to side. So you are releasing the fascia that's running along the front of your sternum. And this is where our chest muscles connect onto. So that when we go into the cobra in a second, the chest won't be holding us back in any way. And then center yourself and hold. Lift up a little bit so you can take the ball out from underneath you. Hover the tip of your nose. Just notice that wonderful melting sensation underneath your chest. And we're going to go into a little baby cobra here. Create some space. Lifting your eye line and come up into a little baby cobra. And it should feel very open on the front of your body. You shouldn't feel like you're fighting in any way. And releasing down. And again, lifting eye line, coming up, and releasing down. And let's just do 2 more. Use your breath to help you carry the movement. And release. Last one. Floating up. Gentle extension of the spine. And release. Lift your elbows, plant your hands, come up onto hands and knees, bringing your knees in. You're going to tuck your toes under, walk your hands close to your knees. We did the same transition yesterday. Push into your hands and roll over your feet. Stay here for a second in a crouch position, and then bring your hands towards your feet. Lift your hips up, rooting into the heels of your feet, and then roll up slowly into an upright standing position. Just take your time, focus your eye line so that you don't feel a head rush, and then pause here for a moment. Just as we started, do a little bit of a rocking action, front, back lines connecting. And hopefully everything feels easy, it feels good. Doing the minimum amount of work to hold this beautiful alignment and posture. Center yourself on your 2 feet. And let's take 1 deep inhale, reaching the arms up. Reaching all the way up, connecting each fingertip to partner. Exhale, opening your arms wide, all the way down beside you, and we roll the shoulders back and around. Nicely done, guys. Sorry, I went a